Legion Bible Institute, and we'll share those with you each week. Blessings and honor to our military. Our panel is Roland Ross, Mona Johnson, Teresa Vermas, Mary Reed, and I'm Marcia Sturman, your host. We will discuss hot topics of news for the first hour. Then after the break, our constitutional moment with Susan Snelling. Then finish off with news that affected us this week. Stay tuned for an opinion-packed 2-hour show with right opinions on Spreaker. Today marks 644 days until Obama is out of office. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Well, the 2016 race is already heating up, so what we have for you right now, take a listen to this.
I would never ever let you down, so you ain't gotta worry about that now. Let me show you what love's about. Let it be me.
Let it be me. We know who's thinking about let it be me. All right, and that would be a good HARF. That's a HARF, not a BARF. An HARF is worse than a BARF. Okay, Mona, lead off with how you think this race is already heating up.
I tell you, I'm going to talk from my heart, talk from hopefully from my head. I am taking personal responsibility for my words today. All of us are very busy on the Restoring America Together network. I do not speak for the network. I speak for me in this. I am truly upset about what is happening so far in this race that has not even really begun yet. Because on our group that we have, and we have very many groups and we have very many members, they're already fighting and arguing and dividing and pulling up stuff and all this kind of garbage is going on, and we've only got 3 people who have officially announced. I mean, it has not even turned into an official race for the nomination as yet, and yet people are starting to pull each other apart. This is the biggest problem that conservatives in our country has, is that we just tear ourselves down, we tear ourselves apart, we eat our young, we infuriate each other, we do not unite, and we get weak. And I am just sick and tired of it, because I think that it is far too soon for us to be arguing about who is going to be the nominee, because we only have, as I have said, 3 people who have announced. My personal opinion on the 3 people that have announced is I am not talking about their qualifications, lack of qualifications, or anything like that. My objection to that is that we worked really hard back in 2012 to get more conservatives in our Senate and in our House, and we managed to do that. We managed to take a majority. Now we have 3 first-term senators that are running for President of the United States. My personal question is, why did they run for the Senate in the first place if they had no intention of actually staying there and doing something to straighten up this country? Now, you can say, well, Ted Cruz talks about, stands up and talks. Yes, he does. So does Rand Paul. Yes, he does. Marco Rubio does in his own way, talks about what he wants to talk about. Yes, they talk. They do that. But they've only been in there, what? How many years now? 2 at the very major. The last part of their term in the Senate is going to be spent campaigning for a position that they may or may not get. sacrifice necessary to devote to this nation in order for their own personal gain and notoriety as a president of the United States? I find really that very objectionable. I want them to stay in the Senate and do what they promised us they were going to do, and that is that they were going to fight for conservative platforms in the Senate and in the House, and that they were going to see that our nation was returned to the Constitution as it was originally intended and written by our founding fathers, and that they were going to fight this socialist, Marxist, communist, whatever, that's in the White House. And that yet now they're not going to do that because they're going to accept the role of a contender. I find that troubling. Our nation is in major, major trouble. And we depended on trying to find people that was going to be able to represent us as servants, as Sarah Palin said, with a servant's heart, not with a heart of expanding their own glory and their own position. I want us to have a president that is a constitutional conservative, a strong constitutional conservative at the realm, somebody who has experience in government or experience in business or some major experience. We already have in the White House a first-term senator with limited experience, with questionable credentials, with questionable history, with all kinds of questions about them. We already have that, and look what that has gotten us. I say to the ones that are running, I appreciate the fact that you think that you are qualified to be President of the United States, and I am not saying that you are not. I am just saying I think it's a bit early. I think that you need to do something to help us in the realm of your position currently. And I would like for people to start looking at the experience of these people rather than whether or not they're personable or whether or not they speak well. We've got a great speaker in the White House now that can run his mouth just wonderful. Being a great speaker doesn't mean anything. I want you to know about their background. I want you to know about their history. I want you to find out whether what they are saying is true or not, because we did not find out the truth about the man sitting behind that desk now. We need to find out the truth about these people before we start arguing whether or not we need to have them. It is much too soon to start arguing about this stuff. Let the field set. Then let's look at who's running. Then let's find out their qualifications, their experience, whether or not we think that they can run this country and hold it to the ground that it was built on to start with. They're going to have a big fight because they've got a bunch of idiots up there in Congress to have to handle. So we need somebody with a strong message and a strong leadership ability. I urge you, check out your candidates, search them, research them, look them over, look at their good things, their bad things, their in-between things, and stop fighting over it. Start reading, start learning, then make your decision. That's my opinion.
Well, and you're welcome to have an opinion, aren't you? Yes, you are. The meter is doing some funny things here. It wasn't always picking up everything you said, so I'm hoping that has gone through. We are continuing to roll, however, and Rollin, you are next with whatever you think about this race heating up in 2016.
Well, there's so much to talk about, but I certainly agree with Mona in most everything she said. And one of the things, it's too early to even think about who you want to choose. But there's several things we need to think about. Is where are we going to get this information? And really, we can't expect the liberal media to tell us the truth about things. There's three young men that have thrown their hat in. And it doesn't necessarily... I found in business and running companies, it's not necessarily the person that's had the most experience or the person, but you have to have several things that are important to be a leader and to be a president of the United States. And the first thing you have to have is the right philosophy. And as Mona mentioned, they have to be conservative, constitutional conservatives, and believe in those things. We're not going to find the perfect candidate, but let's vet them. Let's study them. Let's give them a chance to debate one another. One of the things that has impressed me about one of them is that he was asked directly about two of the others, and his comment was, well, I think they're both very good men, and they both have very good ideas. But he didn't run them down. And this is what we've got to do, and I'll tell you right now, if you're members of our groups, you will be deleted if you continuously run down a fellow candidate. We don't want you in our groups. We want to keep Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment, and that is don't speak ill about others. If you want to talk about somebody, give the facts, but make sure you get the facts straight first. But to be a good president, you've got to have those personal skills of management, because it's too big of a job for a person to micro-manage the world, and that's what our president has to do. So, first of all, he's got to find good people. You've got to believe that he has the ability to communicate with one another and get those people on his team. And a good team working together is what we really need, with the goals set that are in tune with our Constitution. So those are the things that I like that I'm looking for in what's happening. But like Mona said, people are starting to run down other. I'll never vote for him. Well, half of their information's wrong. Like Romney Care and our Obamacare are completely different ideas and have nothing to do with one another. But to hear the media talk about it, and anyway, it's the states' rights. If the states' rights wants that kind of, it's up to them to decide what kind of insurance they want within their state. But we have so many issues to talk about. It's unbelievable, and I will close with saying this, and I know most all of our listeners, and I know all our panel agree with me. This country has never been on the brink of disaster as it is right now. And will be a true leader. And with that, I would like to hear from Teresa.
Teresa, yes, please chime on in there.
Okay. I want to say that I think it's just way too early to be talking about the next president. I hope that we haven't even heard who their name come in yet. You know, not saying that the three that have declared aren't fine fellows, but I agree they haven't had much experience. And, you know, we need to be able to look at a person and see, do their actions match their words? You know, our politicians, they get in there and they tell you everything you want to hear, and then when they get into work, they don't vote the way they say they're going to. They don't put your interests ahead of their own, you know. And look, Ted Cruz already has raised $4 million. Isn't that obscene, that the money that we spend on presidential campaigns? And I did take a little laugh at Hillary Clinton after she declared her poll numbers went down for 2 days in a row. But I think that people need to stop worrying about the presidency yet. Let's see who's going to run first and who our nominee is going to be. Start paying attention to what your representatives are doing right now. You know, we elected them in there. They made some promises. Are they keeping them? Are the candidates that have declared, are they keeping their promises? Are they voting the